Hey, John.
Am I coming at the right time?
You're right on time. Yeah, I did a whole intro and here we are. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, hi. How's it
How's
going?
it? Good. I know you've been, busy as always, but busy working, busy prepping, busy hanging.
Busy, busy, busy. Literally busy.
Totally. Well,
Yeah,
thanks for taking the time. And yeah, I we'll chat for, 20, 30 minutes, open it up to some Q&A for everyone at the end.
yeah,
I'm sure that there's questions and, people want to, I'm sure, ask you their own questions other than just listen to me talk. So we'll do that at the end. But for those that don't know you, give us a little bit of an intro, a history. What does your name stand for? What does your name mean?
sure. So I'm Jonathan Quintin. I'm from the UK. Um, I've been a graphic designer for about 20 years, quite a long time. But yeah, as things have grown, developed, I've got into 3D. So that's where I am today. So I've developed a skill where I want to sort of push through my design, but then as the world's been changing and things have been developing, I want to sort of create my own thing. And I think with 3D, that's how I do that now. Yeah, my initials are also Booby's initials, which is Sophia Jane Quinton. So she's the whole point, the reason I'm doing everything I do. As people may have seen a bit on social media.
Yeah, I think that's the big reveal has been a lot of Sophia in there in your drop that's gonna come out, and I'll let you talk all about that. But yeah, super super excited about all of that. Super adorable. So
Yes,
Sophia's your daughter.
she's my daughter, six. She just turned six two
Oh,
weeks ago.
great age, great age. And
Um,
she's drawing. I mean, that's my favorite part about kids is actually their art.
yeah,
So
yeah,
she's drawing now, which is amazing.
yeah. Well, that's the fact that when I'm designing, she sits next to me, and she gets on her. She's got her own computer as well, so there's two computers here, and she gets going on hers, and then
Start them young.
yeah, just on my work, which is where we are today with colours and stuff. So, and at that age, they're very honest too. So,
Yeah, I mean I love that. It's like the rawest vision of what they see and like what they pay attention to. I know I've taught toddlers, I've taught art classes a couple times and like just paying attention to what, they focus on or their dreams or their teddy bears or fingernails or or whatever. It's like it's so funny. Um so
definitely.
before you got into 3D stuff, you were a graphic designer, and we definitely see some of your amazing design tendencies in your early work. What about before then? What was like the weirdest job that you ever had before you kind of got into the amazing output that you have today? I always like to know the weird stuff.
So that, you don't want to hear all the good stuff, but that's a great question. So after I did 6 years of education, and then I got to my limit where it's like it's kind of enough now, and I wasn't learning anymore. So I decided to sort of leave halfway through my degree, which I still got a certificate for, but
Okay.
I just wasn't learning. But then I sort of thought I learned enough in terms of where I wanted to go, and then I got a job from actually a student that I was working like through the degree with, and then I moved to London and I was doing sort of fashion design
Oh,
and
cool.
on garments, sort of the design that goes on them, with some big like London clients, which is really good. But it was something that not necessarily I was going to go into, but it was good to do to sort of learn and develop my skills. But from then I did that for about 2 years, moved away from where I was living, and sort of learned that. But then I sort of it stopped, the company stopped, and I had to sort of move. So then in terms of the weird jobs, I was like, I was a caretaker, like at this. I can't say the name. It was a big IT company. I am the worst at DIY in the world. I'm not even joking. And I was the maintenance manager, so sort of doing stuff in the car parks when it's snowing, putting the grit down in that. And then some of the jobs I had to do, but I am the worst. So that was one of the weird stories. But when I was doing that, I went home and then I sort of continued my design, doing it in the evenings and sort of developing my sort of assets, my skills. But yeah, that was the weird stuff in between. And
Well, I
then,
feel like that gives people hope, It's not like you were born and you were like successful as a 3D artist. You know what I mean? It's like
oh, I know.
Everyone goes through the weird stuff. Everyone, like, you know, it pushes to find that balance of making money or making a living and making their art. And yeah, you gotta have those weird, you know, janitorial or babysitting or, you know, retail or whatever jobs to fill it in.
Yeah, there are some weird jobs I had to do in like the toilets for people as well. But I'm not going into that. So but basically the passion was always there. It's always been there, and I'm a hard worker. So the day never stopped at 5 o'clock. Went home, continued, and I think as long as you keep creating, you're going to creating opportunities as well, which eventually I did, and I got a junior graphic design job in an agency. It's in Bristol, actually, near where I live.
Great, yeah.
I started. There's only 3 people there, and I went in. I was late. This is a time where you have to wear tie to interviews, and I was like late running in. But luckily, as I was creating in the evenings, they could see that I was developing something, and they could see that in me, and they put their trust in me, which I'm really grateful for. So then, 6 years down the line from that, I became creative director, and then I had 5 designers under me. So from that,
Amazing.
I was learning a different skill. So I was learning how to teach designers how to develop their skills, but also give them feedback, meeting clients' sort of recommendations, requirements. But it was another sort of step in my career where, not necessarily where I wanted to go, but I thought it was a good place to be, to develop who I am.
Totally. I mean, that's the way I think you have to do it, is like, you know, have the day jobs, continue to put out work, you know, continue to work in your free time, develop your skills, you know, develop your own personal work. I mean, I always think that personal work is so important, not just like wait around for collaborations or client stuff. And, you know, now I think what's some, like, I don't know, key advice you would give to someone that's like, you know, hoping to get to be where you are?
The biggest key advice for me is like, when you're creating, I've had client jobs in the past where they weren't prepared for me to show what I created, and personally for me, that puts a restriction on like my creativity. Like, so I'm designing this, but for what? Like, if no one's here, I strive on feedback, good and bad, and if you don't get that feedback, I don't think you can work and develop forwards. So my biggest advice is to keep creating, but also keep showing people. Don't do it too much. But like for me, if you're spending sort of 5-6 hours on a piece or developing throughout that day, you want to sort of put it out there just to get feedback. Because a lot of people, like, they're scared to show stuff, but don't be scared to show it, because everyone's got different tastes and you can't please everyone anyway.
Yeah.
You will please certain people, and so my biggest advice is to don't put it out there too much, but put it out there enough where you're happy.
That's great advice. And with social media, it makes it so easy to share. I mean, and it is scary. It is, you know, vulnerable, and it is hard to just be like, you know, not sure what everyone will think. But yeah, the continuation of producing work and putting it out there, I mean, that's what people recognize. And you see that, you know, with the artists that do dailies, and that hard work pays off. It's like, not every piece is going to be incredible, but like that momentum and that feedback, you know, I think that's crucial in just developing and learning, really.
Yeah, like if you're doing dailies, you can't create amazing stuff every day. It's like literally
but it's like that. It's that practice and that momentum.
And it's also building. If I was to look back, I was showing my brother the other day, so he's getting into 3D now, and I've shown him. I've been in it for like 4 years now, but I think I've obviously tutorials online, but self-taught. I showed him my work. He was a bit unconfident the other week, and I showed him my work from 4 years ago, and I was like, "This is what I did." He's like, "All right."
I know, right?
like, come on, that gives you the incentive. Like, that was 4 years ago, and what I'm excited about, what's it going to be like in 4 years' time? So, but you're always developing, and through you go down different routes. I was doing graphic design with my posters, which people already like, and I still share. But now I'm sort of building somewhere where I want to go, and luckily you put me on board, which I'm so excited for the project, and such an amazing family. Like, it is a family. Being with you now, I can put it all back in. I can work on projects I want to work on, basically, which is what I think any creative wants to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that, a mix of the personal stuff, obviously now the NFTs, validating your work, validating your career with clients and cool collaborations, people that want to work with you for your style. Yeah, I mean, we're in a really cool place right now. I want to talk a little bit before we get into like NFTs and big exciting things coming up. I want to talk a little bit about like the themes in your work and, the Astro and the universe that you've developed and how you kind of came to be creating with the elements that you do now. Was that, like fueled by your history? Was that fueled by interests? Are you a huge like NASA fan? Yeah, tell me a little bit about just like your vision and, describing your work as what it is now.
Well, yeah, good question. So basically, it all started and has always been colour for me. I've always loved vibrant colours, like fluorescent colours, rainbow colours. I've always loved that, and I've tried to put that in my work because I actually enjoy doing it. I enjoy looking at it, and anything I see, even out there, like even with the light here, like I just love vibrant colours. I think it makes you happy. So I always wanted to push that through my work because it's what I enjoy doing. I think if you enjoy doing something, you get better at doing it. And bringing that into 3D, I've done that a bit, but with the Astro and the Universe, I've really, I think, excelled with that in terms of, it's a bit like a cartoon. You can do anything you want. There's no limit. So you can watch a cartoon, it's like, that wouldn't happen, but yeah, but it's a cartoon. Yeah. And I think you get that with space. I think you get that with 3D. With surrealism, you can do what you want. Whatever's going on in your mind, in your head.
Yeah, it is surrealism, and it's so cool that it can be fantasy based and like there's no limits.
That's a great word. Yeah, it is fantasy based, and when I'm creating new pieces, it's literally if I'm listening to a song, if it's my mood that day, if I haven't had a good week, if I had a bad week, a good week, it's emotions as well. So I think as you develop stuff, you can then refer back to it and tell. If you're describing it to someone, you can tell them what you were thinking at the time you were creating it or what it means. So some things don't always mean anything. They could just be a bad mistake. These are often the best ones, to be honest. But the ones that do mean stuff, then you can explain. I think we'll go on to it afterwards, but when you can actually explain the meaning behind things, they see it differently then, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and as an artist, I mean, most artists should have, a vision or a story or a reason. And I know that you do a lot in your new work and in your series. And I think that that's really cool to have, a story and an emotion behind it. For those of you that have seen John's work, MBSJQ, he has been incredibly fortunate to be producing all these amazing, pieces for personal reasons, and then releasing them on Super Rare, Nifty Gateway, getting really big in the crypto scene, crypto art scene, NFTs. I know for a while you were reigning champ of, Super Rare, running that NFT market, which was super exciting. Congratulations on all of that. Let's talk about crypto art for a second, like highlights, what's hard about it, what's good about it. What's your take? Is there, is it stressful? Is it, a lot of pressure? Is it, amazing feedback, obviously? Tell me a little bit about you getting into it, how long that's been.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I think is timing, and that's with anything in life, timing and luck, but also hard work and where you want to go. So things happen, I think things happen for a reason, but obviously people got different opportunities at different times. So last year when it was with COVID, I was working as much as I could to pay the bills. Literally, it was getting hard because I was working with bigger clients where they weren't in the office no more. So then they have budget, and then it made things harder. So I was working really, really hard, but I didn't know nothing about crypto literally until October. Well, no, say August, October is when I kicked off. But
yeah, I think that's when it kind of started popping off super early on. But yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, I don't know, like it's apparently been around for like a year and a half, but like I don't think a lot of people, unless you dive into it, you wouldn't know about it. But I was lucky enough that a really nice client sort of said to me, look at this, if you get into it, you could be pretty successful. And I was like, thank you very much. It's really, really kind. And I'm going to thank him properly one day. Not sure I will. But I was too busy at the time with work because I have to pay the bills. You have to do the normal things. You have to just work hard to pay the bills. So I kept pushing things back. But looking into it, it was things with finance. How, like, where do I put my car details? Do I do that? Is it safe? There was hurdles, and then hurdles gives you hesitation. So you're unsure. Do I take that risk? And luckily, I took that risk, and then I had my first, at the time, drop on lifting. For me, I didn't even know what a drop was. I genuinely didn't know what a drop was.
But you just put it out there, though. I mean, you got to start. You got to start somewhere. Dive in, you know?
So that I think you're only here once, so you've got an opportunity. If it goes wrong, then you go back to your day job, literally. But luckily enough, and it went okay. I sold, I think, 7 out of 15 or 12.
Great, amazing. First time out, though.
For me, though, at that time, it was like I was sitting, because of the time difference, I was sitting in bed and someone was buying a piece of mine for $250. Like, what, they're buying a piece I created that I love to create. It was like, a feeling was like, wow. And like, what, no, there's no clients sort of saying change it? No, they like it. They bought it. So for me, it was amazing. But they didn't all sell, and then I had to burn a few of them. But then again, I didn't even know what burning something meant. I'm like, burn what? Burn? Okay, yeah.
And I know it's like so conceptual at first. I was reading a really cool piece recently about creatives and how risk is like so important to, like, you know, take the risks. And for you, I mean, not really knowing anything about NFTs or the digital space, or even just in your career.
Yeah. The other thing for me is, because I'm freelance, I've been freelance 6 years now, I think it's nearly 7. The thing that the NFTs brought me is communication and networking and connections. Like, throughout the last sort of, where are we, like 5 months, feels like 5, generally does feel like 5 years, I've never spoken to many people in my life. I'm not good on the phone. I'm not good at doing this. I'm generally not. I'm not good at doing Clubhouse, but I've done that. But you get to barriers, and this is what I mean about hurdles. Like, you've got to jump them someday. You can fall, and then you can try again, or you don't. But if you keep trying, you'll eventually.
Taking that risk. And I mean, I see a lot of comments coming up about people talking about how the community is and how supportive it is.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
You know, it has really put everyone kind of at the same, you know, pinnacle together to have this community, to support each other, to buy art, to, you know, post their work, and take those risks. Even if you're a new artist, to share your work, to, you know, put it up for sale, approach the platforms. You know, I mean, there's a lot of really cool opportunity there, and I'm so glad that you guys are able to, you know, have that as a new outlet for, you know, collectors, and just as part of your creative career. So I know you do have a big drop coming up, again with Nifty Gateway, and I believe it's 4 pieces. Amazing story, amazing theme. Oh, 5, 5 with the 1 of 1. Totally. Can you, I know you've posted a little bit about it. Can you share your idea behind that series, kind of what it means to you? You have the 4 of 4s and then the 1 of 1, which is super special.
Yeah, definitely. It's all super special. So I wanted to continue the Astro universe because, one, I love to do it, and also I'm sold out on every platform. So every time I put something, by the way, I am lucky that I'm sold out, but I wanted to put something up where, like, some of these pieces were selling for 100 grand. Like, that's like, the money is just insane, the value. But
wild.
What I wanted to do with this Nifty drop was to give back to all those people that supported me literally all these years, from when I started on Dribble, when I was on Behance, when I was on Instagram. Like, people who comment every day, they send me nice DMs, they share my work. So I want to sort of give them an opportunity to own a piece that something they might feel connected with over all these years, like going back years, not just months. So I wanted to create 4 pieces where it's still in the Astro theme with my style, but it was a connection between me and Boo. So whatever we did together, I wanted to put it in the scene, in the mood of Astro. And I
And
think,
Boo, of course, is your daughter,
yeah,
Sophia. For those that maybe missed the first part of it, Boo, Sophia is a big inspiration for you, a big part of your work. I mean, a light, you know, a love, so cute. So this series is about your, I guess, themes or connections or emotions with her.
it's also about, it's not just, I don't want it to be all about me and her. There's also about parenthood. There's also
Hmm.
connection that parents have, not just the father, mothers with their daughters, mothers with their sons. It's about the connection of childhood, and like things are hard for children, especially with what's going on at the moment. But what I'm trying to do with this is bring sort of happiness, bring sort of ambition into the children. I want other parents and artists to work with their children, which they are. They've been sending me, this is what my son's doing, this is
Oh,
what
I love that.
for me, that's amazing, because you're
Yeah.
a valuable thing, which is time together, which parents and children need. Not obviously not on the computer. You can do it drawing, you can do it playing, you can take a picture. So it's being creative, but also building the bond. And that's why I wanted to push with the drop, like show you that things are tough. Yeah, people have got like busy jobs and that, but if you can just spend an hour, well, if you can spend more than an hour with your child in a day anyway, be better. But if you can just be creative within that day for an hour, you can get results. And now with this platform, you can now put a mark down. Before, I've done stuff with her and she's done drawings. There's all on the fridge. Sometimes I can't open the fridge because it's so heavy drawings, they go everywhere. And then Holly jumped in it and brings it all down. But now we've got a platform where one day when I'm gone, Boo can look back and go, this is what Daddy did. This is why Daddy was working. This is why. So there's a meaning behind it, what I'm trying to
Yeah,
tell.
I mean, it's a really cool documentation to share, and it's like, you know, just a digital archive of the work that you guys did, that you did, and that obviously that you did together. So the one of one that you're dropping actually features some of her work in it, her little drawings, which is like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Literally, like there's some typos in it, which obviously comes from me as Daddy, so I do that too. But the thing is, I gave her the brief. It was a brief. It was Astro in the universe.
Yeah,
What are you thinking? And then she just went away and she did it. And the symbol is a rocket. Apparently, there's a rocket
so
with her.
cute.
You can see how she's using the colours already, which I love. And she literally just went away, and then I gave her the 3D pieces where she's sticking stuff, and then afterwards there was stuff everywhere. But I love that because she just got creative, and she goes, "There you go, Daddy, done." And then I didn't show her for like a few weeks because I was building it within 3D. So she's seen that, and she kept asking like, "What's going on? Then can I see stuff?" And like, "Not yet, not yet." And then she's seen it within the piece. She said, "Oh wow!" Like actually,
Oh,
seeing
that's so
it
cute.
in her universe, she's seeing the colours. Um, so it's about again the connection together and doing stuff together. That's what it's all about.
Does she love the space themes and the astronaut themes? And I mean, I'm sure she loves the colors, and now you're making them super playful. There's like slides, and there's her panda bear, and there's, you know, probably a lot that you guys just have to share and in common just within the work that you create.
This is the thing, because what I'm lucky about with going back to the cartoon space, the unknown fantasy, you can create anything. But I've got so many stories with Boo already. Being 6 years old, I could create stuff for the next 10 years already because of the things that mean to me, but also mean to parents as well. So like the sky's the limit in terms of what we can now do together. But I wanted this drop to be hopefully just a piece of history, what she can personally look back on and go, that's what Daddy did, kind of thing. So
I mean, that's making it super special. And I think, you know, another bit of advice for artists out there is to have, you know, have reasons, have, you know, direction, have a path, have something that you want to share, something that you want to express. I mean, you know, finding your creative vision or your style and like, you know, I don't know, talking about something, sharing something about yourself, you know, doing it for a reason. And I love that about your work, and it's all super apparent. And I mean, maybe not apparent on the surface, but the more you talk about it, yeah, the intention. Thank you
that's
for that word.
that's what I wanted to do with the drop. Is on trainers you add layers, a bit like
Hmm.
but you add layers of information, but you don't necessarily see that from the start. So, for example, earlier someone on Twitter sort of asked me about it. What has it got to do with your daughter? And as I went into it, I then explained what we did together in terms of the moment, in terms of what the piece is inspired on, but also going back to Astro. Astro is not a man or woman. It's you. It's your imagination. No one's inside the suit. It's because it's your whatever's in your head. So you can be looking at the piece, but then you can be imagining your experience with your child doing something else.
Cool. So cool. So cute. And that's coming up on April 14th, but of course it will live forever. But it'll be up on Nifty Gateway for those that want to follow MBSJQ, John's drop. That's coming up. We're going to open it up to a little bit of Q&A here in a minute. I see a bunch of questions down below. If anyone wants to send a question, it's easy for me to, look at the little question tab down below. But yeah, John's character is named Astro in the universe. That was a question from Lucas. So go ahead and maybe start sending over some questions. I'm going to read a couple. Let's see. Actually, John, do me a favor and tell about the software that you use and kind of how you make your work.
Yep. So I use Cinema 4D, Max on Cinema 4D, and use Octane. I tried Redshift, but I'm still learning. But yeah, I use Cinema 4D and Octane, and then After Effects to composite, and then Photoshop to sort of tweak. It's amazing sometimes that what you create is not always what the finished article is, because obviously you can tweak it afterwards. But then that comes down to your eye in terms of personal taste and how you want it to sort of see. I think if you were to look at the drop with the colours, I call them the accent colours. I think it goes back, if I'm looking at it, it goes back to my branding and designer days, where you sort of see a brand of something, like if it's chocolate, if it's deodorant, if it's not perfume. When you see like a set, and then they look quite cool like by themselves, but then when you put them together, like you go into a supermarket or wherever, like you can see them together. So in terms of I went through many colours to putting them together as a collection, but then obviously the colours then got to work with the mood of the piece, like love, red, water. So
they look so good together as a series, and I'm super excited to see them all out in the world. But yeah, as a series, they look amazing. We had a question because you were talking about putting your work out there and being vulnerable and getting feedback. SVB Art was curious about how you dealt with criticism, like putting it out there. Obviously you're getting vulnerable. Do you take people's positive feedback, negative feedback, criticism? I know that can be a hard thing too for people to be vulnerable about.
Yeah, first of all, like these days with social media, say for example you get a comment in your DM or something, first of all I would just advise you to look at the account, see if it looks official. No, generally.
Totally.
See if it looks official, because it could be someone just messing around, it could be someone that just trolling. So just check out the account that sent the message, just to see have they got posts, are they actually genuinely interested.
Yeah, how valid it is.
Valid's the right word. Like, because you can get yourself all messed up for no reason in terms of emotionally, and it could be someone just being nasty, someone that's in a bad mood constantly for the rest of their life. So, and you don't want that to affect your creativity. So that's my first bit of advice, is check out who the person
where the source is. Is the source valid? Is
it valid? And then obviously if it is, then you take the feedback on board, but then you ask them why they said that comment. You ask them, you want their opinion. And obviously it might not always be an opinion that you agree with or want to hear, but like I was saying before, it will help you develop. It will make you strong. A creative has to be thick-skinned, that you have to take the good with the bad. If you don't, then things are going to get tough. But I think within time, you build that skin up. So if someone says to me they don't like it, then these days I'm getting to a point that I'm sorry you don't like it. I personally do, but then maybe I don't like that. So it's being honest with yourself too, because I don't like some of the things that I create. I don't think are very good, and it goes down the storm. So you just don't know.
Yeah, I think it's being open, being critical, being not maybe thick-skinned about it is a good way to say it. But yeah, I totally agree. That was great advice. Thank you. Um, let's see. We had another question. Well, I'm actually curious about where you see NFTs going in, you know, a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years. Do you see this being something that's, you know, in it for the long term? Do you consider the environmental stuff? You know, do you see that going in a better direction, just the environmental impact? How do you kind of anticipate this playing out of where it is now to, you know, a month or a year or 5 years down the line?
At the moment, NFT is like a nappy, so
I
it's
know also nobody knows, so it's like people are just curious about opinions at this point.
exactly. So the NFT I see it as a baby is in nappies. You've got to care. You know when someone has a newborn or a baby, they're interested in it. They want to be around it. They want to see what it's all about. And I think that's where we are at the moment. And I think with like environmental stuff, I think the more as we develop in terms of how to do things in platforms, I think there's clever people out there. There
Yeah.
are ways to make things better. But at the moment, there are people obviously sort of saying, well, and as a creative and artist, you haven't always got the answers because you're just on the train track as well. You're just doing what everyone else is doing, so you haven't always got those answers. But in terms of where it's going, but
I mean, we'll see. I feel like it's hit an amazing momentum. There's been incredible opportunities. You
opportunity.
know, I think that it will probably continue. It'll balance out. I think there will continue to be amazing opportunities. And for digital artists or just, you know, artists in general, it's an amazing platform and an amazing community. And it's a place to share your work and to show your work and have people have access to it, you know? What are your thoughts on like accessibility, like you said, doing like an open edition versus like exclusivity, doing like a one of one? Do you tend to go towards one or the other? Do you, you know, like to keep it kind of sparse, or do you like opening it up to, you know, a bigger range of a drop?
So I just see someone's comments saying
I
Astro.
know it's funny. Thank you everyone for your comments. Andrew, I saw you in there too. Hi, James.
That's a good comment.
Um,
Yeah. So for me, I when I started with Super Rare, it was one-to-one editions, and then I only had the nifty drop before things kicked off. So I only had like say 12 pieces then or 15 pieces then. But I was going back to the point of where I want to make it accessible for collectors, fans, people that like my art to be able to own it because it could be an investment. Like with any artist's work,
yeah,
it could change your life. It could change your next generations. So I wanted to give an opportunity to give back because I get a lot of people sort of wanting, but they can't afford those prices. So it sort of balanced out that you're trying to sort of share to everyone. But in terms of I don't know how the open edition will go. I literally just don't know, and so I'm intrigued for Wednesday because I'm just intrigued. I don't know.
I mean, isn't that, I feel like that can be scary, and I'm sure it's scary for artists to not know how a drop's gonna go. You know, is it gonna sell? Are you gonna sell a lot? Are you gonna, I mean, I'm sure you will. We all know that it'll do very well, but yeah, I think there's a lot of anticipation and a lot of you know, kind of excited energy and nervous energy, I'm sure.
But look, genuinely for me, it's the drop is about Boo is about that point where she can look back, and I hope it goes well for her because it's for her future. But I also hope it goes well because then it can show how you can create something. An artist can create something. There's many artists out there that do really well, and then some artists are coming through asking advice. How do I get in? And the more we do things, the more we can give advice. So I can
Sure.
give advice with what I personally know. It's not right or wrong, but I try to give my advice.
Sure.
But
Well, I
also,
think that's, yeah, that's all, that's what everyone is seeking, is just advice from somebody that's experienced, you know? It's like someone that's been through it, someone that's, you know, had success on the platforms, you know, that's taken those risks and that's just kept creating art. I mean, it's like there isn't really one recipe, but it's like, you know, hearing from someone like you that has the experience to share, I think, you know, that's super valuable.
because I would also like to point that like, because over the years I built up quite a good following on Instagram, so over 200,000 or whatever. That's kind of helped me as well in terms of going into the NFT space. So you often get artists that have got a big following, they sort of wondering how they're going to get into. But but eventually, I think more collectors will come into the space. But collectors are they're people, they're humans. They like certain things, so they might not like an Astro, they might like two balls dropping on a bridge or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all subjective, and of course, you know, purchase things you love, collect art that you love, you know, support artists that you are inspired by, who you want to own. I mean, yeah, I think that it's still all about the art. We had a really great question from Anastasia. Said, what is your main motivation to continuously make art? And I think I know the answer, but what's your...
I can't show you her.
Where is she?
I only have her 2-3 times a week, so those moments are precious. And she went this morning, she's at the park today, and then today she sort of sent me a little voicemail like, hi darling, how's it going? So, because she knows the big drop's coming up, and she's saying now Astro in the universe, nifty, and because she's at that age, like, she's talking like a real person now.
So but, yeah, cute.
Yeah, it's BB. It is BB.
Yeah, that's the answer. The boo, the daughter. So cute. Anything else you'd like to share? Any, you know, thoughts of wisdom, favorite music, favorite drink? I mean, what occupies your time besides making work? Like, what are your kind of downtimes composed of?
I don't know, for the past 6 months, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I feel ya.
And my biggest, like, in terms of like advice or things like that, is to try and get outdoors. Well, that's quite hard, isn't it? But try and get outside to get away from the computer. But like, literally watch a film or Netflix, or put your phone down, because mine goes off like that and it's like a disco. Like, just switch it off or put it down, because of the time difference as well. On most nights I go to bed around 10-11, but then I'm up at 3-4 to talk to people or to do things. So at the moment, my advice is just to put social media down for a good part of your day.
Yeah, get that balance. I totally agree with that.
And what you got to remember is, sometimes, some days, wake up and just pretend NFTs aren't there. Honestly, just pretend you've got a normal day where you've got client work or personal development that you want to do, and then do. So I know you have to sort of be on top of things, but if you're on top of things too much, I think it'll make you ill if you just do it all the time, and it's not healthy.
Yeah, that balance for sure. I see a couple of people asking questions about John's advice to new artists, history. We're going to save this conversation, and it will live on the H+ IG Live. You can go back, you can watch it. We answered a lot of those general kind of questions in the beginning. What advice can you give to artists who don't have a big following yet? I think that probably goes back to, you know, just keep it going, consistency, you know?
Keep it going, consistency, but also going back to sort of connecting with people. If you see an artist with a similar style, or something that it catches your eye on social media, just don't always share your work to them, but just start a conversation. Because again, a lot of the time, people just see a name, and who even's behind that name, and has that person got a personality? Are they called?
Yeah.
So I think it's trial and error. Like, you can either connect with someone or you don't, and it's just from that. And I think as artists are coming through, just comment on things that you like to see, because there's not a competition. Like, you've got to work together. At the end of the day, everyone's unique. You do your own thing. There are things similar, yes, but at the end of the day, you are your own person.
Yeah,
and if you're
great.
Out there to compare, then you're going to have a hard time all the time. So don't compare.
I totally agree. Ashish, a couple people are wondering, what's the history, or what can we expect to see in the future of Astro? Do you have merch coming out? Do you want to do prints or shirts or lunchboxes? What's your kind of like vision for the future of your work or of Astro? Where do you want to take it? What's to the moon for you?
I can't say too much on certain things at the moment, but there's opportunities where I don't want things just to stay like as they are with still or motion. That things will come into play. I want eventually, like my sort of dream one day would be to create like a kids brand or something like that, where like Boo could be the model, like she could do the trainers, she could do a suit or a hoodie or a cap, or like because she loves doing like she's a bit like she likes a bit of the attention, but she also likes to shy away too. But if you get those few moments of in the attention, those are golden moments.
Totally.
I think if because there's a meaning behind it, I think it sort of can carry it forward. So there's opportunities. I'm lucky with NFT. I'm talking to people that I wouldn't even dream of talking before in my life. Like, so yeah, there's opportunities, but there's opportunities for everyone. But I want everyone to remember I have been doing it since November, October. So
yeah,
if coming in now, I know how you're feeling. Like you're feeling a bit like what you're looking like that, literally like every day. Like what?
I know it's overwhelming.
And it's going really fast. It's going
it's moving very, very fast.
Yeah.
We'll keep it going. Maybe 3 more questions. Lucas, I believe, wanted to know how long it takes for you to create one piece. How many hours do you pull in a day? You know, is this like a piece a day, or are these pieces that you did the drop, you know, or is that like a week grind? Are you doing 12-hour days? I know you do work a lot because you're very dedicated and committed, obviously.
I'm not sure what the name is in America, but in the UK is a word called FAFA, which is someone that designs something and then they decide to change it and then change it again and then a bit more, and then I go back to the original thing. I just tweak things too much, but you can't put a limit on what you do. Some things take long, but with the Nifty drop, for example, I had to look at how the colors would work, and then they have changed. How do the different things work together? So when you're doing a drop, then you have to.
It was a series. It was more of a series together. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you work on one piece of art, when you go away for a cup of tea or coffee, you come back, it will look different anyway, because you've just been stuck into it. So in terms of time, like I haven't got a clock. It's whatever. Like freelance.
You're just working in a neon room over there. No sense of time.
I never see. I might as well live in like, is it Finland? I don't see daylight. But no, that's what I'm trying to change. And with Boo, like take time out, spend time with your children, spend time with your family, your friends. So that's what I think's the best way to go. But it's also not that easy because there's a lot of pressure on people to make money and stuff. Yeah. I understand that side too.
Software, I believe you said Cinema 4D. What kind of computer are you working with these days?
My computer.
Thanks for the question, Xenia Thom. I'm going to butcher everyone's name. Sorry.
You wouldn't want me to say the names on. My PC at the moment is not the best. It's a good PC, but it's a gaming PC. But I bought it when I was learning. Before this, I was doing 3D on Mac with Octane, and that was like, it was good, but then you get to a limit. And I think the more you learn 3D, the more you learn what you want to do, and then you push your limits. So now I need a new computer because my limits want to go higher. But if you start, then you don't need an amazing PC. Just make sure you can use Octane or Redshift.
Yeah.
And start sort of low. Don't try and aim for the star straight away. You will get there, but it takes time.
Yeah, totally. Jonathan, that's a good question about the different NFT sites. John, have you considered, taking your work to other platforms? I know there's so many NFT platforms now, and I think the main ones you've done are Super Rare and Nifty Gateway, probably the 2 biggest ones. Is there a reason that you would spread your work out? Do you recommend artists spreading their work out on different platforms? Do you have any, opinion there?
Yeah, so I'm also on Maker's Place, but I had a drop with Maker's Place, which is an Astro drop, but I only now have Astro pieces on Super Rare and Nifty. Mm-hmm. The main reason behind that is I don't want Astro to be everywhere. I want the one-to-one edition to be special.
Yeah.
I put a lot of money into them, not just the money side, but I want someone just to own that one. So like if you're if you're in like a pub talking to your friends, it comes up on the phone or something, they'll be, oh, I own that. But is there any more? No, there's just one. So that's the
Yeah.
important side, but then also I want them to be accessible. So my Maker's Place was a Astro drop, but then I've also got my non-Astro art on there, which
Oh, cool.
comes back to my color usage, my 3D work, but not Astro. So I wouldn't advise to try and go everywhere, because it's like you're just chucking it out everywhere.
But that's an interesting approach, is like kind of doing it by series. You have your Astro series here, you have maybe, you know, your color series here. That is kind of a cool way to divide it up. I think each platform has their own benefits, their own capabilities. And of course, some have easier accessibility, easier approvals. So I think it's a personal thing for people to explore on their own.
And also, because going back to the timing thing, I have a lot of people sort of saying, can you try and put a good word in? I officially can't say nothing. Like, I've tried in the past at the start when it was like, but that was when it was new, and you can only ask someone something so many times before they get really, really annoyed. But
I mean, there are so many other great platforms out there, and you know, it depends on,
and I think
just promoting your work, you know, continuing to make work and promote the work, and I don't know if it matters.
But this is this is a really good point. That's what I was saying, where one day put down NFTs, don't think about it, don't do them. Do what you were doing before this came along.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, someone is going to buy your piece of art for what it is, not because it's an NFT. Someone might buy it because it's an NFT, but at the end of the day, it means more if you connect with a collector and they would bought it for the reason why you created it, which is
great. Yeah, totally. Great advice. Thank you, John. I know it's later over there for you in London, so I'm gonna let y'all go. But do you have any big plans this evening? Once I do let you go.
Sleep maybe, or no?
Perfect.
No,
sleep. Get up. Do it again. Well, super excited to seeing your drop. Again, everyone, April 14th coming up. John MBSJQ has a big drop on Nifty Gateway, Astro on the Universe, featuring Boo and all things kind of close to his heart. Thank you again, everyone. We will be saving this interview, saving this conversation. It'll be housed on the H+ Instagram page, and John, I'll give it to you to share as well. But yeah, amazing questions from everyone. Obviously, thank you for your time. It's good to see you as always. And
I'm logging in as well and asking questions, because the support is second to none. So
yeah, great community. Thank you, everyone, for your support as always. And hope to see you soon.
Great. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.